Welcome to Hip Hop Now Podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business.
What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is Hip Hop Now Podcast, a podcast specifically designed to keep you caught up on all things hip hop, music, and culture that happened throughout the week. Big shout out to the subscribers in audio form and the subscribers right here on YouTube. Shout out to you for taking the plunge, for pressing the button that says, I like that record. But also big shout out to those who are new to the channel on YouTube, new to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I hope you enjoy the content. I hope you like, comment, and obviously subscribe, man. We got goals. You know, we down, the campaign is down a little bit, but whatever, because we looking to get to 25K at some point. So that's where we are now. Right now, I think we're sitting at 13,000, which is more than I could have asked for. Again, last year, the goal was to get to 1,000. Now we had 13 of them joints. So can't complain. For those who maybe didn't watch last week's episode, maybe didn't get a chance to listen to it, I have already put out my best of 2025 so far. So far. Not so far. Not for the year, but so far. Ahead of the end of the second quarter, because honestly, I just have a feeling within these next couple of weeks that list is not going to change very much, to be honest. So you can check that out on the channel. It's available. A couple of joints have dropped that can contend for my best of the year for sure, but we still have a long way to go and a number of albums to drop. One that I'm going to talk about today that dropped. I'm going to talk about it today. And so much more, right? We got the clips coming in July. So there's opportunity for so many projects to get into my best of the year. So we'll see. But so far, it's been a slower year than last year. Last year was dope. It was a dope year for hip hop. The 50th year of hip hop was dope. But this one is kind of slow, so we'll see. Maybe the second half of the year picks up and we get some better releases. Big shout out to hiphopdx.com. Ambrosia for Heads in a couple of places where I'm getting some of my stories from. Let's get right into the business stuff. Is Lil Wayne officially washed? That's the question. You tell me. Is he washed? What's the last Wayne song you like? What's the last Wayne album you like? When's the last time you even checked for Lil Wayne as an artist? Now, that's not to say there aren't people out there who do all of those things, because I still check for Lil Wayne. You know, I check to see if records are dope that he releases or albums are. But recently, the Carter 6, that's the sixth installment in the Carter series, if you're not keeping up. It dropped, and Lil Wayne has been getting destroyed on social media, on YouTube, on podcasts, even podcasts that primarily focus on sports are like reviewing the album and saying it's trash. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I'm low-key scared, because let's just keep it real. I know black folk, white folk, y'all just sit on the side for a second and just listen. But black folk, a lot of times, we can see that our family member, not all the time, but our family member, our friend, it's probably an addict. It's probably a junkie. But we just keep ignoring the signs. He okay? No, look at him. He's standing up straight. He breathing oxygen. He looks like a junkie. Sometimes he sounds like a junkie. The Carter 6 isn't like Lil Wayne sounds terrible on every track. He doesn't. But it does sound like you're getting different versions of Wayne musically and just vocally, and lyrically. The album is such a mixed bag. And I didn't get to review it because I did my best of the year last week. And I just it wasn't good, so it wasn't going to make that list. But if you were looking for a review from me in this podcast, it's not good. There's some songs I like. Don't get me wrong. There's some songs. There's enough songs that I like to make a solid EP. But an album and a sixth installment in the Carter series, which, if you ask me right now, is 3 and 3, right? 3 dope uh entries or whatever, installments, and 3 that are like from so-so to just not good. Carter 4 being the one that's like so-so. So for the most part, and I guess I said 3 for 3, 3 and 3, but I think this Carter 6 just says stop, Lil Wayne, stop making music for some time, go to rehab, go to therapy, and maybe he's doing some of these things. I don't know. And what makes it interesting for those who are not on social media and not able to see the conversation to know that people are dogging this album, it's not just the music. Most of the music, there's nothing really wrong with it. It's just that for what occurred leading up to this album, and the fact that on the heels of not getting the Super Bowl and I'm a be Weezy F baby and all that talk, right? All that talk, like don't wake up the lion or whatever he said online. We woke up the lion and he was defamed and he didn't have Raw anymore. And he was all over the place. So it seems like he didn't really live up to what he was building, right? It was almost as if they were using what he was in the past to tell you that this album was going to be hot because he's a hip hop icon. Lil Wayne is a first ballot Hall of Famer in hip hop. And it's not just the Carter series, it's what he did with Cash Money, and it's definitely the mixtape run. His features when he was hot were crazy, and he was on everybody's stuff from boom bap underground to the most commercial artists. So he's one of them ones, basically, as the children would say. He one of the ones. But this album ain't good. And I started thinking, like, have we seen the last of Lil Wayne as an artist making albums? Not features and a single here and there, but making albums, because it just looks to me like he has so much else going on internally, and trying to tell us like I'm good, y'all. When we watching videos of you on stage looking like, yo, dog, we've been to spots in the hood where, like, I'm from Brooklyn, New York, but I lived in Baltimore for some time, and it was a portion. I don't know if it still happens because I don't live out there no more, but I know, like, the joint Lexington Market, you will see the fiends nodding off just all over the place. And at some point, you're kind of desensitized to it because you're just used to seeing it, right? Especially if you growing up in the hood and you've seen that before. This is Lil Wayne on stage at a show doing that. And some people are like, oh, he was just sleeping. Standing up at a concert? If you're sleeping standing up, and I know Baby was the one, but it was him too. You seen the video? If that's the case, you need to stop for a second. You need to pause for a minute and take care of yourself, because honestly, I hear the Lil Wayne we like in this album, but the production is kind of all over the place as far as the choices, the concepts, the trying to reach back to the things that you knew about him, trying to flex features that make records that don't sound good, right? Like, okay, you got Bono on here, but it's not a good record. Is the flex that you got him on here? I mean, is this the first time he's been on a rapper's album? I don't think so, but if so, who cares? It's not good, Wayne. So I don't think he's washed. I think he has bigger issues, but I think the Wayne is still in there, because even on this album, there's times where I'm hearing certain songs and I'm like, okay, that's the Wayne I know. But it's just not sustained throughout the album. It's mostly garbage. Okay. Mostly garbage. So there you have it. That's my review, but that's also my thoughts on Lil Wayne in 2025. What do you think about Lil Wayne? Did you check out the Carter 6? Is it as trash as the internet saying? Is everybody jumping on the bandwagon? I'll tell you like this. I'll keep it a buck with you. I don't have no tickets to any bandwagons because I think that's corny. But I know what I hear. And other people know what they hear also. So do with that what you will. Next. I swear Timbaland is like he's another like legend in the game, but he is annoying. He's like really annoying. Now he's not Questlove annoying. He's not. But what he's been doing with this AI stuff is very annoying to me. Very annoying. Let's go to the headline. This is on hiphopdx.com and it says Timbaland announces he is working with an AI artist. What does that contract look like, Mr. Timbaland? It says Timbaland has announced that he is now working with AI artists that aren't actually real. Well, of course, whatever. Um, the iconic producer has launched Stage Zero, an AI-focused entertainment company, and comes as a result of him experimenting with the AI program Sono. That's the one that's kind of like the leader if you want to really do some stuff with audio and especially video. Like I think that's the one. I think they have a video component where they be doing them baby joints, whatever. Um, Timbo has revealed that the company has signed the first ever AI artist who is being called Tata. Well, hold up. How do you sign someone that's not real? How do you sign them? Now, I'm not gonna hold you, but I'm thinking, I don't like it as a music fan, but I'm thinking, what if we enter a space? I did a whole AI show for y'all, but here's another tidbit. What if we enter a space, right? Because this whole he signed the artist, but the artist not real. How did you sign them? Did they audition? Like I don't understand. What are you talking about? But I kind of feel like, let's say if I go and I create an artist, right? I say I'm gonna give this artist this name. I'm gonna describe them as this and get AI to make images of this person till I get it exactly how I want it, how I want that artist to look. I'll describe that artist's style, everything about them. And then I start to curate songs and lyrics for them. So not just putting in commands to say, make a storytelling record about bricks of coke, right? Now that would be ill, but whatever. Uh, and I kind of tweak, let's say if I'm tweaking AI to kind of get what I want, and I'm using like because you can even get AI to make beats. Like you can just get AI to do all of it. And then I go to Timbaland and say, here's my package of this artist, Coke Sniffer number 9. That's gonna be his name. I don't ask me what the number 9 mean, just back up. But I say, yo, Timbaland, Coke Sniffer number 9. Here go his crack is whack record. You know what I'm saying? Bars, but we ain't talking rap. Other records, other single. Let's get all of these on here and here, Timbaland. What you think? And he says, I want to sign your artist. Now, I don't know if that means I get a creator's fee or some kind of compensation for creating the AI. Or maybe a job because you're not signing me, you're signing this AI, and maybe they take over the content that's produced with that base. It sounds crazy as hell, but I feel like there's a generation coming up. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong. A generation coming up that will entertain this kind of nonsense. And human artists will be competing with AI artists. Because let's just put it this way, music for the most part, like the way I listen, if it's an artist I've never heard of before, whether it's a rap artist or a singer, and let's just say enough people mention their name and I go listen and I like them and I like it a lot. And then somewhere down the line, I just discover that it's a AI. It's tough to decide whether or not you should continue to listen to it because you like it. Now, there are most people need to relate to their artists, and in some ways I do, but I don't rely on it. And that would I'm kind of making a case for goddamn AI. Okay. But I'm just saying, if you wind up liking the record, what do? You say, oh, it's AI, I'm out of here. Nah, I might feel like, well, so what? I like that record. It sounds dope. The beat sounds dope. The music sounds dope. And I could see why Timbaland thought this was a good idea. Because y'all remember back when he started playing around with the whole artificial intelligence thing in music, and he was like, there's one artist I never got the chance to work with. But now with the power of technology, I could work with them. And he played it, and the beat was kind of like, I was like, okay, what's this? But then the rapping started, and I was like, is that Biggie? And when I say it was, and for those who saw it, it sounded like Biggie. It was taking breaths in spaces that Big would take breaths. It was almost uncanny, and it sounded good, but it wasn't Big because the Notorious B.I.G. passed away in 1997. No one who knew Big, was around for Big, a fan of Big, nobody's going to like that because it's not coming from Big. But what Timbaland was able to do was kind of impressive. Because if Big, let's just say Big was still here, or it was like, yo, we found the lost track from early Timbaland and Biggie, and he played that, people would be all over it. But it just showed me how much he's into it, where he thinks I could be the leader in this regard. And I remember Timbaland, and we're gonna say this and then we're gonna move on. But I remember Timbaland mentioning how he didn't always want to work with well-established artists, like, for example, like a Michael Jackson, because he felt like he wanted to create. It was better to create the future artists, the newer artists. And I was always cool with that, even though I, kind of wanted to hear Mike over some Timbaland. I think that's what he's trying to do here as far as leading the charge. I think he's trying to get into something that is inevitable so that he can reap the benefits early because he was there early when it pops off, reap the benefits when it pops off. I still don't like it. I still feel like, what does that do for a generation of singers who haven't gotten to that point where they can get that break eventually? And I'm talking about like a kid, right? Like, everybody was a kid at some point. Like, imagine like when you see them videos of her performing and she's mad young, but she's playing the guitar and she could sing and she just sounds good. What if you have somebody like that who now has to not only compete with AI, but maybe they have to pour their own natural talents into an AI because that's the only interest? It's like, in so many ways it could go wrong. And in a lot of ways, I don't like Timbaland like being one of those bigger people in the music industry to co-sign it, because then all it takes is one, and all it takes is for somebody to make a stupid amount of money, and then everybody start thinking about it. And I'll say this in parting: there is one person who I want to use AI in the worst way, but the main reason, not the main reason, but what I'm thinking is why it never happened is because there may be some contractual things regarding his likeness, meaning his voice, and that's Beanie Siegel. Don't think for 1 minute that people who stop making albums don't owe albums to record labels. So if you're gonna go do AI, maybe you might need permissions, or maybe putting that album out means Jive, not Jive. I don't think Jive exists. So Def Jam or whoever needs to get a cut or needs to be in charge of that. Like you can't independently go and do it. But for somebody like Beanie Siegel who was shot and because of the complications of his situation, lost his voice. So now, even now, when he appears on records, it's just not the same. It's not Beanie Siegel to us. But he can easily sample his voice before he was shot and write new rhymes. It'll still be Beans writing the rhymes. It'll just filter his rhymes through his original voice, which is crazy. So I don't know, y'all. We'll see. What do you think? You down with AI? You like some of the things Young Guru was saying to Timbaland about doing this AI thing? Leave your comments in the comment section below. And lastly, Slick Rick is one of my favorite hip hop artists of all time. He was probably like an early influence as far as what I liked in hip hop, what I wanted to hear, in some ways how I wanted to be, right? Because he was always fly with the jewelry and all of that, with the clothes, and he was unique, right? He was had the London accent, right? He's, as he says, London, Jamaican, and American, and all those influences shine through. And I remember, I was a kid when the Greatest Adventures of Slick Rick came out, which was like '88. So I was probably like 11. And, his stories were like grown stories, but I loved it because it was almost like he made the stories for kids, but they had adult themes. So if you 11, you like, what she do? Davy Crockett, what he do? What's happening in the TP? You know what I'm saying? You wanted to know. And Slick Rick was doing that. But also, he had other songs like Hey Young World and Teenage Love, just dope records and undeniable classic in hip hop history, period. One of the greatest storytellers of all time, if not all time. And I know a lot of people will be like, well, his story is not better than what Nas or Big or blah, blah, blah. But he is the blueprint. That's what you're missing. He is the blueprint. Rakim's a blueprint. Cool G Rap's a blueprint. KRS-One's a blueprint. Big Daddy Kane is a blueprint. Ice Cube, like there's so many people who are the blueprint, the inspiration for those to come along, and they're supposed to be better. They're not supposed to be on par with the master. They're supposed to evolve. So with Slick Rick, I call him the greatest storyteller of all time because when you drop an album that's all stories in '88, which was a packed year for classic hip hop albums, and everybody say your joint is a classic too, and it was all stories, you can't beat that, right? And he went to prison. We ain't gonna get into that. You can look it up. You can Google it. And Def Jam dropped his second album, which was The Ruler's Back, that had some joints on it. Definitely had some joints on it, but it wasn't as good as The Great Adventures of Slick Rick. But how can you be? Sometimes when you got this undeniable classic, you're almost never going to meet those expectations. You have to do something different. And then Def Jam dropped his third album called Behind Bars, which contained some songs he did before he was locked up, but he had less of an imprint on it than the first two albums, and it showed. It's clearly the weakest album in his catalog, which isn't that big because he has four. He has four albums only. And in 1999, he dropped The Art of Storytelling, which for me was surprisingly dope for a dude who debuted in 1988. Like, it was really good. Like, really good. Like, imagine, think about everything that happened, how many errors, and this man was locked up, how much he missed being locked up in '99. But that was the last album he did until 2025 with this new album, Victory. And I'm not going to even lie, I was a little afraid because of one, I'm thinking, why has Slick Rick done an album? Because he's definitely done features. And one that stands out to me is the one I always say, I think it's called The Auditorium, It's on Mos Def, aka Yasin Bey, but on Mos Def's album is Static. And I was like, Slick Rick's verse is crazy. Like it's I ain't talking about bar work and float the coke overseas. I ain't talking about that. That's not all rap is, okay? It's not all coke bars. But you got the storytelling. He didn't sound dated. It was socially conscious at the same time as well. I was like, man, can I get a Slick Rick album? But we didn't since 1999. So with this new deal with Mass Appeal that's spearheaded by Nas, and this run of 7 albums from 7 icons, and like I said last week, is Slick Rick, Mobb Deep, Big L, Ghost, Ray, De La Soul, and Nas and Premier. This is the first of those 7 albums. I don't know at what pace they're gonna drop. I don't think it's week for week. Thinking I'm thinking it might be each month or every 2 weeks or whatever. I'd rather go for, honestly, from a marketing standpoint, I think they need to be closer to each other. So 2 or 3 weeks. So Slick Rick has room to breathe and do, interviews and drop videos and all that. But the album is out. And for those who don't want the context, they don't want a detailed review, they want to know what is it, you like it or not. I do not like it. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. It's not worse than Behind Bars. I still think that holds the crown for Slick Rick's worst album, and it's saying something that's his worst album because he was in prison, right? So that's saying something. But this one's right behind it. It's right behind it. And before I get into it real quick, it's 15 songs, 15 tracks, which includes skits. So it might be closer to 10. I'm not even going to hold you, but it's only 27 minutes. Now, typically, I would never complain about that. But to me, then this is an EP, Ricky D. This is the EP. This is not, in today's terms, this is an EP. This is not an album. That's where my disappointment started. Like, oh boy, why is it so short? It's so short because some of these songs are really short. And I mean, I look and I'm like, is that song like a minute and 15 seconds? Something is brewing because Westside Gunn just did it with one of his EPs where they're making the songs even shorter. And I don't mind if it's 2 minutes, 2:30, right? 3 minutes tops. I don't mind that. When you start talking about like 1 minute, it's not a song. It's an incomplete project. Get out of here. The album doesn't have the features that I thought were going to be on here. There was a rumor about, I guess somebody made it up, a rumor about a song that was like storytelling, and it had like Nas and Mobb Deep and a whole, that song not on here. It's not. There's a song with Nas on here, and Nas gets busy on it. And I think, unfortunately, it stands out so much that it reminded me of how not good this album is. Now, let me tell you why I say it's not good. I say that only because, for me personally, but I say that because it's clear if you watch the rollout, they're saying this is a visual album, right? So it's not just the album you stream, but there's also a video version of the album that you can watch that's executive produced by Idris Elba. Now, the album has a heavy London theme per Slick Rick, right? So not only the influences that are in the music, even guest appearances, but this is probably the first time on a Slick Rick album where he really embraced, and not that he didn't, but he really put up front England. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't like he was claiming boroughs all crazy and yo, I thought he was from Queens. Like, no, but this was the first time you felt like the guy with the London accent is actually talking about London and making music that's inspired by being from there. And with that in mind, when you press play and you say, what song is this? When you hear the dance beat hit more than once, you'll be like, is this a house record? Why is this on here? And it's because some of it is, Slick Rick's personal taste, right? Nothing wrong with that. But some of it is him trying to grab a vibe. And it's not just the house music thing because, that's kind of everywhere, including America. And I think that's why they thought it would work. But this hip hop, we don't want to hear that. There's other situations where there are beats that are kind of like, you could have got better beats. You just could have on some songs. But there are songs I like. And it's very easy for me to tell you right now what songs those are because I had to look at them like, thank you. Finally, this is the Slick Rick I've been looking for. I like the song Stress. There's a song called Angelic after that. I like that joint. There's skits on here that, just kind of, sometimes I don't even know why he's like, why are you saying this? Like, what? Maybe I'm missing it. Maybe I'm missing it, y'all. I like the song Landlord. Landlord is probably quintessential Slick Rick. It was the song that I was like, finally, there it is. Even though I like those other records, it was like, that's what I was looking for. Doesn't sound dated. Slick Rick don't sound old either. Not at all. He in the pocket. It matches him. Why isn't there more of this? I like the song Documents with Nas. Again, Nas kills that. And I think that's it. There might be one more. But again, the album is 27 minutes. And not enough of those songs happen. This is not one of the better albums of the year at all. It's not one of the worst. It's just disappointing. Now I'm going to check out the visual album because again, maybe there's something about seeing the film that's going to make me understand a little bit more what I'm listening to, but you shouldn't have to watch a film in order to like an album more. You just shouldn't. It should be conveyed in the music to make you like the music, and the movie is the bonus. That's how it should be. So, with that being said, I think when it comes to Slick Rick's discography, because regardless of what I'm saying about this album, please understand, I'm not saying Slick Rick is whack. He is one of the greatest of all time. He is the greatest. He is the blueprint of storytelling in hip hop. Hands down, I don't care who's his age, who might have been doing it. He made an album that was all stories. How are you not the final boss when you make an album in 88 and it's a classic and it's all stories? Like, so stop. But Great Adventures of Slick Rick is still number one. Number two, I would say, is The Art of Storytelling. Number three, The Rule is Back. Number four, Victory. And number five, Behind Bars. And I know there's those you guys who like the only ones like, oh, no, Behind Bars was kind of cool. No, it was not. Not to me. It wasn't. So there you have it. Have you heard Slick Rick's brand new album, Victory? Were you anticipating it? Did you want to hear it? Did I just ruin your listening experience? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to this podcast right here on YouTube. Hit the like button if you like the video. If you like, I don't want to see your face. But I will listen. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your audio podcasts. Until next time, y'all, I'm not a critic. I'm a fan. Peace.